Comic Book Savant, episode 438. Welcome back to the Comic Book Savant podcast. I'm your host, James Harris. In this episode, we're going to be following up on last week's episode where I did a rundown of the announcements coming from San Diego Comic-Con. But this time we're going to focus on Marvel Studios, and the announcement of Phase 4 in full, and actually confirmation of movies to come beyond actually Phase 4 that probably will be slated for Phase 5 as well, from Kevin Feige doing numerous interviews right after his Hall H announcement. So we're going to just dive right into that this episode. But before I get into that, I just want to mention one thing. If you guys haven't already, I don't talk about it much, but we do still have the merch store, teespring.com/stores Comic Book Savant, but it's a comic-book-savant. I'll have a link down in the episode. We have stickers, mugs. We have a Savant Society t-shirt, as well as a regular just Comic Book Savant t-shirt as well. So again, you guys came up with the name for the community in the Facebook group. So I ran with it, and I did a t-shirt design for that, and one with the actual logo on it. So again, if you like to support the show and get some cool merch at the same time, definitely check out the store. Again, it is teespring.com/stores comic-book-savant, and check out the merch there. It's really dope. And if you've watched any of the YouTube videos, I think I got two shirts. I have one in black and one in white with the logo on it as well. So if you've seen any recent videos, you've probably seen me wearing the actual shirts here and there. So definitely, if you haven't seen them, you want to kind of see a closer up look for them, go to the store. You can look at the samples, or you can actually see me wearing them in some of the YouTube videos. But with all that being said, let's jump back into what we were presented in Hall H for Phase 4. And Phase 4 just doesn't consist of movies like we've had in previous phases. We have in the timeline that Kevin Feige showed us and revealed in the presentation in Hall H, it is sprinkled with movies as well as Disney Plus shows, like strategically placed in between movies. So it is a total of 4 movies. Is it 4? 5 movies. 5 movies in a 2-year span, starting between 2020 and 2021, and we're going to have just about that many TV shows as well. Let me double check. Yeah, 5 shows. So 5 movies and 5 shows. They all consist of what's going to be a part of Phase 4. So the most current movie that we're going to have, and that's coming next summer, May 1st of 2020, is going to be the Black Widow movie. They showed some footage in the presentation about that. We have David Harbour. We have Florence Pugh, which I love. If you haven't seen Florence Pugh in anything, one movie I could recommend is Fighting With My Family. It was an autobiographical film made on the WWE wrestler Paige. I felt like she did a really good job with that, so I was really hyped. And even though that movie didn't do like super well critically, I thought she did a really great job in the movie. So I'm excited to see her in such a big, coming off of that, land this Black Widow role. So that's going to be cool. We have, Scarlett Johansson, Rachel Weisz, Ray Winstone, and O.T. Fabigel as well. Those are the names that have been, announced so far. They said the movie's going to be set after the events of Captain America Civil War.
And we're going to get flashbacks to finally see what happened in Budapest, since it's been referenced so much previously. So that's going to be kind of cool to finally get a live action version of that incident and what happened and why everybody has referenced that in relation to Black Widow. So I'm looking forward. We don't have too much longer to go. We have less than a year than that for that movie to drop. Then sometime in fall 2020, we're going to get the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series on Disney Plus. Now, what we know about the Disney Plus series, I think they said they're going to be anywhere from 6 to 8 episodes, hour-long episodes. So they're essentially, like extended movies that we're going to get in between the movies, which I think is really dope that they're going like all in on Disney Plus. And Kevin Feige is like, these are being headed by him. They're investing the money, they're bringing these actors in from the movies and expanding their characters out so they can weave them seamlessly in and out the main movies and do these Disney Plus series to maybe flesh out other characters that don't have a chance to get as much screen time in the films, to flesh them out more, which is cool to see. So we're going to have, Falcon and Winter Soldier, coming in the fall 2020. James Brule, if I remember that correctly, from, Civil War, is going to be reprising his role as Zemo. And they did some concept sketches, and he's actually going to be wearing the signature, pink mask. So I think that's going to be really dope. And that's coming fall 2020. Then the second movie for 2020 that's going to be in theaters is going to be Eternals. The release date is November 6, 2020. This cast is just like so diverse and so, so large. Some of the names they came out on stage that they have is, of course, is Angelina Jolie. We have Richard Madden. We have Kamali Najani. You have Selma Hayek. You have Brian Tyree Henry. We have Dong Seok Ma. You have Leah McHugh, Lauren Ridloff. I think in last week's episode I said Millie Bobby Brown. I think she was rumored to be in the movie. I don't know if she was on stage or not, but I heard things on her. But I'm looking at this on IMDb because I want to make sure I included all the names. I don't see her listed on here yet, but I thought they announced her, but I could be mistaken on that. So I do apologize if I made that mistake last episode. Then we have the Loki series that's going to be coming in spring of 2021 on Disney Plus. And this is basically picking up the plot thread from Endgame when Loki got the Space Stone and disappeared. So he's going to be hopping through different periods of time. So that's going to be an interesting show. So that's coming spring of 2021. Then we have the next theatrical release, which is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. That's going to be released February 12th, 2021, which is going to be really interesting to see this. We have cast so far. They had just cast the lead role of Shang-Chi like maybe less than a week before Comic-Con. The presentation was made. It's Simu Liu. He's a Canadian actor. They also announced Awkwafina is going to be in the movie with an undisclosed role at this point. And we have Tony Chua Luang. That's going to be the Mandarin, so we're going to get a proper Mandarin in this movie. I like, that they're going with the diversity. They caught a lot of flack from in the Iron Fist television show, the whitewashing they felt of the casting. There was a lot of feedback and a lot of anger in regards to that. So, I think Hollywood in general, coming off the Me Too movement and the real push for diversity in Hollywood in general, in front and behind the camera has been like phenomenal. So I'm glad they're using the right diversity actors to cover the right roles and not whitewashing them or even blackwashing them, because even as African American man, we've had other characters that were Caucasian characters that were made black characters, and it can be an argument set upon that. So I like seeing diversity spread across the board, that all ethnic races get represented properly on film. because this world is made up of a myriad of different people, different colors, and they should be able to look at themselves on the screen and see themselves represented on film, on TV, across the board. So I think that's really dope what they're doing there. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Mandarin, and he's one of my favorite Marvel villains of all time. So I was really in my feelings about how Iron Man 3 handled it, but I liked when they did the whole All Hail the King, the short movie where Slattery is broken out of jail by the Ten Rings, and the Mandarin was requesting to see him, that we finally get that payoff, even though it's been quite some time, many years later, but we're going to get that payoff of actually seeing the Mandarin. So that's going to be really, really cool. And also in spring 2021, we have WandaVision. This is the Wanda and Vision show. They cast Monica Rambeau as the adult version of her. We saw the child version of her in Captain Marvel. She plays a part in a role. We don't know what, but they've casted her. She's going to play a part in the movie. And one thing that Kevin Feige said, that the WandaVision show is going to be leading directly into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and Wanda is going to be co-starring. So Elizabeth Olsen is going to be co-starring in that movie. So it seems like she's going to have a substantial part to play in maybe the madness that's being discovered in the multiverse. So that's going to be interesting to see. So we have this, and I'm assuming with these, both Loki and WandaVision are going to be released in the spring. I'm assuming that when they mean spring for Loki, probably like leading in, like the very beginning of spring, like leading into the Shang-Chi show, we probably get the Loki show drop somewhere in between there. And then the WandaVision, since we know it leads right into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, is probably going to be released, in that lead up, maybe the month or two leading into that. So maybe like in March or April, going into that movie, since it ties directly in, we'll get that release, I'm assuming, at that point. Then we have the What If. This is the animated series that they're doing, What If. This is all MCU related. The first episode that they said that they're doing is what if Peggy Carter took the super soldier serum, not Steve. So that's going to be a fun series. They have all the original voices from the movie actors that's going to do the voices for the cartoon. They have Jeffrey Wright he's going to be the narrator as the Watcher. So that's going to be very cool to see. And I've been wanting to see Marvel get back in the animated realm for a while. I used to dig their animated, film releases that they stopped doing some time ago, which, DC animation is like killing it. They do 3 or 4 movies a year, and I miss the competition because it's so many characters and stories in Marvel's lore that I would love to see that you might never see on the full screen, but it would work perfectly as an animated feature. And I felt like they were good, though some of the ones that they released was good. So I missed that. Hopefully at some point they'll think about doing that, maybe on Disney Plus, because they can do it and release it directly on Disney Plus. We can always keep our fingers crossed for down the road, but no announcements yet. But I'm looking forward to this animated series. That's going to release in summer of 2021. Then in fall of 2021, we have the Hawkeye series. That it was rumored that this was going to happen. Everything, I guess, because they were negotiating contracts out with Jeremy Renner. They announced it. He came through the crowd up on stage. We're going to be introduced to Kate Bishop, which is awesome. They said this show is also going to cover some of his time as Ronin before we saw him in Endgame, which will be interesting. And that's going to be coming in fall 2021 on Disney Plus. And then last part of Phase 4 is going to be Thor, Love and Thunder. This is going to release November 5th of 2021. And Kevin Feige did confirm Thor and Love and Thunder is the final movie in Phase 4. This is what we're presented with. This is Phase 4 in its totality. And he went on to explain in interviews that, with shifts and changes that were made in Phase 3, with them being able to come to an agreement with Sony, and including the Spider-Man movies in there, Ant-Man and Wasp wasn't originally slated to be in there. They made some changes. That's why Phase 3 ended up being way longer than what they expected. But Feige said they already know what Phase 4 and 5 are going to be, and the next big crossover event. We just don't know yet. But they've had plenty of time to get all their ducks in a row, and everything's kind of, the table is set. So it's just, in due time, we'll know what the future is. But we do know certain things because we've had certain announcements, and he confirmed. We know that it's a Black Panther sequel being worked on. Coogler re-signed. He's working on a script. We know that. We know Guardians of the Galaxy. We know James Gunn has to shoot his Suicide Squad movie. So then he's going to go into production back-to-back off of, as soon as he finished Suicide Squad, he's going into Guardians of Volume 3. They announced at the Hall H presentation that Mahershala Ali is being cast as Blade, and a Blade movie is going to be coming. He's going to be a part of the MCU as well. He confirmed also that it will be a Captain Marvel sequel. There will be a Fantastic Four reboot, and it is going to be a X-Men/Mutants, as he called them, movie coming at some point. Now, I did an episode a little while ago where Marvel released a whole bunch of just movie dates, and they went up to 2022, so it's still 3 movie dates that are unaccounted for, which my assumption at this point, if we're going into Phase 5, he did confirm that Blade would be a part of Phase 5. I figure that maybe the February 18th date might be the Black Panther sequel, because it did so well in February before. Maybe they would stick with that, but I don't know how big that movie was. They might do the May release date for 2022. But my assumption is at that point that maybe Guardians 3 would be ready, and that did extremely well when they moved it from what the first movie was, I think July, like in July or August, and it did well. But these Guardians 2 came out in May. It was the big May movie, and it did extremely well. So they might lock that in for that date. And then I think that, because I feel like Blade is going to be a lower scale movie, it's not going to have a ton of special effects and all that kind of stuff. I feel like that movie might be the July 29th, 2022 movie. These are just speculation on mine, because on my part, because we do have those dates that were unaccounted for, that they released that press had a press release released a few months back with all these dates, and they did run to 2022. So, and then we know these other movies. We're assuming that the X-Men and Fantastic Four movie would be the later parts of Phase 5, and then I'm assuming we're going to have a whole nother crop of Disney Plus shows that we don't know about, that they might be already planning. So I feel like going forward, the phases are going to be integrated with movie releases and Disney Plus shows to build and tie into the movies and help enhance the movies. So, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys are looking to sign up for Disney Plus. Me and my wife are a big Disney household. We're part of the movie club and buy all the movies and all that stuff. So it seems like it's a no-brainer. We're going to sign up for Disney Plus as soon as that launches in, I think it's November 20th of this year. So that's coming around the corner, and it's going to be cool that these shows are going to build upon. And I'm a huge Hawkeye fan. I really dig Falcon and Winter Soldier. So to get more of them on the small screen, but and to get a really chance to flesh them out, and Wanda as well. That's going to be really good. I think as a fan of the MCU, it's good that we get these people that had lesser roles to really have time to shine in the spotlight. And I'm excited. Some people seem deflated about the movies that they announced. I feel good about them all. I love Scarlett Johansson. I love that she's finally getting her Black Widow movie, though I feel like it's years
overdue, but what can you say? They're going to do it. The Eternals. I remember the I can't remember who wrote it right now, but I know that John Romita Jr. did. Was it Paul Jenkins? Paul Jenkins and now it's going to make me look it up because it's bothering me. The Eternals. It was a mini series that was done. John Romita Jr. and who wrote that? Sorry for the dead air. No, excuse me. Okay, so John Romita Jr. and Neil Gaiman is who wrote it. I reviewed it years ago on the channel. I'm gonna actually, because I'm seeing it right here, I'm gonna add it to my Comixology Unlimited. It's an unlimited book. I'm gonna actually add that to my queue so I can reread it. I remember I wasn't a huge fan of it when I read it, but Eternals is one of those weird parts of the Marvel U that they in more recent years they haven't been utilized a ton. So it's just one of those weird things. They haven't been utilized a lot. They were from the Jack Kirby days. So much is not known. We don't know how everything's going to tie into the bigger MCU. We do know that Thanos was a part of, he was a deviant, which is a part of the Eternals and the Celestials. When it comes to that, we know Star-Lord's dad was a part of that as well. So it's going to be interesting. They do have anchor points tied in already, established in the universe, for them to kind of play off of that they can attach to it. Time will tell. We know nothing about what the movie's going to look like at this point, or like any plot details, but we don't have long to wait. We'll have that movie soon as well. So it's a lot of interesting things. Then the announcement of Mahershala Ali as Blade I think is cool. They're going to make him a part of the MCU. As far as we know, it's not going to be any MCU rated R movie. So, I guess this will be like a PG-13 version of Blade. Some people are like, oh, you have to make it R for it to work. I feel like if anyone can make the movie work, would be Marvel, and make it work as a PG-13. So I'm not necessarily worried about it. Would I like to have a rated R Blade movie? Sure. But they have used him more recently in the Marvel universe, and especially like in Jason Aaron's Avengers run. I know he's played a little part in that. So I'm like totally cool to see what direction the MCU will take on the character. It's been quite a few years since we got the Blade trilogy with Wesley Snipes, and he's aged way out of being a possibility now. So it's kind of dope to see two-time Oscar-winning actor requested. He picked up the phone and called Kevin Feige and was like, I really am interested in wanting to play Blade. So that's kind of how that whole thing came together, and them deciding to do that. So that was really like they dropped the mic moment at the end of everything else. So I did another episode where I speculated like what those dates would be. And I was kind of wrong. We do know New Mutants is going to still be coming out in April 3rd of 2020 from those dates, those original dates. That was already penciled in. I got the Black Widow prequel, guessed right, but most people guessed that because it was already, starting up production and shooting, so it would only make sense. And it was nothing, announced already. So that seemed logical to be the first movie. I predicted for the November 6th movie that it was going to be Ant-Man, the Ant-Man sequel, which wasn't mentioned at all. And I'm curious about that. Are we going to get another Ant-Man movie? I stated some of the reasons why I wanted to see one.
in that episode. So if you want to go back and check that out, you can. And then for the 2021 movies, I had the Black Panther movie. I originally thought we might see that sooner than later. And I was assuming as well when I made these speculations on these dates on what movies would go on what dates, that that maybe Phase 4 would be longer than this, but I was never thinking about the inclusion of all these Disney Plus shows, how integral that Kevin Feige are really making them as far as a part of the MCU and the phases going forward. So that was one thing that I didn't take into consideration with that as well. So, you know, I had put Black Panther as the 2021 release, but it seems, you know, but that is probably going to be in Phase 5 and somewhere in 2022. And then we got that one is Shang-Chi, which I did make the argument at that time that these two movies could have flipped on those dates. They could have put Shang-Chi there because, you know, February is a softer month, so to put in something risky could have worked there. But I said, you know what, Black Panther being such a smash hit and it came out in February, which is Black History Month, they might, you know, shoot for that again, which remains to be seen. It might be that February slot in 2022 for all we know, but we still have plenty of time before we get there. And then I was, what was the next movie? Then I had the dates. So I was right about Doctor Strange being a 2021 movie, but I had it be the November movie, which it is not. So it's going to be, so it was slotted in that May slot. And then in that November slot, that's when we get Thor: Love and Thunder. So, which wasn't a movie that I threw out there. It was rumblings that it could possibly be another Thor movie, but I thought probably it might be in like a Phase 5, not in Phase 4. But I was wrong, you know. But they were just wild speculations, just on me putting stuff together. And I felt like the Eternals was going to be farther pushed out because I felt like the Eternals, from what I know, they're godlike entities, that it would be like a lot of special effects and heavy duty stuff. So I thought it would be like a 2022 movie. Also potentially like a Phase 5 movie. But, you know, the fact that we're getting it so soon really blew me away. And I'm very interested in, you know, what kind of take or what we're going to see in that movie. Because I think that for the dates in 2022, it was 2/18, 5/6, and 7/29, all of 2022. And I said it'd be, I speculated a Force movie in February, Guardians 3 in May, and Eternals in July. But that's probably going to be all flipped around. And what I'm thinking now is it'll be Black Panther February, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 May, Blade in July. And the only reason I'm thinking that in that July would be Blade is that that's where they were feeling kind of that a movie is risky. They normally either drop it in November or July. The original Guardians was put out in July. It killed. So that's something that it's probably not going to have nearly as big as budget as the other MCU movies. And again, I feel like it's more grounded in the real world. So it's not going to be a super special effects laden movie. So I feel like they can get away with a July release. And it could take off, and they can, you know, shift it from there from any sequels if the movie does well going forward. But I feel like that's kind of experimental. They know Captain Marvel's already a proven property. I could also see maybe Captain Marvel sequel falling into the that February February 2022 slot as well. But we don't know where. We haven't heard any other announcements outside of him confirming it. We don't know if the directors are coming back or any of that yet. We already do know that, we know James Gunn is directing. We know his script has been finished for quite some time. He just has Suicide Squad to shoot, so that's why that movie's kind of was pushed back, because it was already supposed to be released, but all the things happened with him there. So yeah, that's how things are kind of shipping out, and we already, though dates haven't been confirmed, the movies have been confirmed, so it's only a amount of time we'll see when these movies will be slated to drop. And I'm assuming we won't get a Phase 5 announcement. I don't think we'll get it in the next year, because I feel like probably going forward they're going to want to stay tight-lipped to not ruin things that are coming. So it's probably going to be 2 years before we get a Phase 5 announcement, and maybe at Comic-Con in 2 years this time, because we'll be hitting that tail end of Phase 4, and that would be the perfect time, just like now, to make an announcement on what Phase 5 are going to be. And we might get more information as that goes on. It'll take shape over the next 2 years. There'll be casting announcements made, director announcements made, so on and so forth. So we'll have a better idea kind of what Phase 5 will be before any announcement will be made. But I'm assuming we're not going to have any announcement on Phase 5 until Comic-Con of 2021. So that's all I have for you guys at this episode. I wanted to, like I said, do a deeper dive and look at all the things on the table that is confirmed, announced, what's happening, when they're coming out. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm done with speculating at this point. I'm finally glad that we know what the next 2 years of the MCU looks like. And I'm interested to see, like, when trailers start to drop, what these movies the finished products are going to look like. So I'm excited because they're going in some different directions, bold directions. Kevin Feige is really, is taking it to the next level. So I'm like super down to see what we get from that as being a comics fan. I'm all aboard for it. So again, as always, thank you for your support. If you like the content that I create here and you want to hear more of it or see more of it, you can hit me up on youtube.com/Comic Book Savant. That's the YouTube channel. I'm on road to 1,000. So if you listen to the podcast and you watch YouTube at all, or you just want to see more of my content, go over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so you'll be alerted when new videos drop on there. Also, if you haven't already and you want to communicate with other like-minded people on the in the community, in the Savant Society, you can go over to facebook.com/groups/the Savant Society. All one word, and you can request to join the group. And as soon as I see your request, I will add you on. We've been getting more and more members joining on, and we've been having great comic book discussions and just getting to know each other, shooting the breeze and everything else. So that's been really fun. And, we want more people to join up and have great comic book discussions. So if you do that, if you're interested in doing that, do so. And like I said, as soon as I get your request, we'll have you added onto the group. What else? Oh, if you like the content that I create and you want to think about how you can help and support, it's always a donate link on the page. If you go to comicbooksavant.com under support. Also, I have a Patreon campaign, which is, a value added service. Like, if you enjoy the content, you can sign up to become a Patreon. It is 4 different levels. You get different bonuses related to it. You get things like podcast episodes early. You get a whole separate podcast. You get the Comic Book Savant Extra podcast I do. So I do a weekly, podcast that's separate from there, that's exclusive to Patreon subscribers, things like that. So it's a lot of different bonuses, behind the scenes stuff that is included in that. So if you want to check that out, it's patreon.com/Comic Book Savant. But that's all I have for you guys this week. I'll be back next week with another episode of Comic Book Savant. Until then, you guys take care and you have a good week. Talk to you soon.